Hello everyone, I'm Dawnmist, and I'm here to talk about the latest Super Edition Ivypool's Heart. Back in January, the Warriors website teased that Ivypool's Heart was stage 1 of an ambitious plan to tell an epic story sweeping across 2 separate Super Editions, introducing a forgotten generation of warriors. Since I love Dawn of the Clans and have always hoped for the writers to explore different timelines, my interest in Ivypool's Heart instantly heightened, and let me tell you, it did not disappoint. Personally, I feel it's the best Super Edition we've had in years. Before I begin, please be warned that this video contains heavy spoilers for Ivypool's Heart. If you don't want spoilers, leave now, and please consider watching after you read the book. This book centers around Ivypool's grief for her daughter, Bristlefrost. To recap, at the end of the Broken Codes, Bristlefrost was one of the lights in the mist who dreamed into the place of no stars. She defeated Ashfur by pushing him into the Black Death Water, sacrificing herself in the process. Because Bristlefrost died in the Dark Forest, it's an instant double death. Her spirit does not go to StormClan. Supposedly she is simply gone, without even a body left to bury. An arc later now, Ivypool is still grieving, as well as Bristlefrost's love, Rootspring. The two of them have formed a bond over their love for Bristlefrost, and in the first chapter of this book, we learn that Ivypool has been meeting regularly with her would-be son-in-law to talk about Bristlefrost and their grief. Despite being recently made ThunderClan's deputy, Ivypool is not herself and unable to take pride in her new role, feeling trapped in mourning for her daughter. We learn that Renflight of SkyClan has taken interest in Rootspring, but he feels unable to move on from Bristlefrost. Meanwhile, we have a very interesting prologue from Whistlepaw's point of view. Not for the first time, she dreams of standing on cliffs by the Sundrown place just before a storm hits, and she hears the cries of kits who are supposedly trapped somewhere. She feels the terrible guilt of a brown tabby who leaves them behind to join a group of cats headed for the safety of a mountain in the shape of a fox head. Whistlepaw finds herself in a hollow tree and then back by the RiverClan camp where she is warned by Misty Star that a debt must be paid or else, and then sees a river running with blood. I personally enjoyed this prologue because it gave me Balto 2 opening scene vibes, a recurring dream that seems strange and mysterious with meaning to be understood later on, and the Foxhead Mountain reminded me of the Bare Rock in Balto 3. The part of the dream that confused me most was the symbol Whistlepaw sees in the sky. It's described as a tangle of curving vines that appear to enclose a cloud split by a claw of lightning. It doesn't look real at all, and it reminds Whistlepaw of odd marks Two Legs leave around the lake territories. When Whistlepaw presents this symbol to the leaders, Tigerstar compares it to the signs Two Legs put up, and he, Crowfeather, and Rootspring agree that it is not the way of cats at all. I'll return to this subject later on, but as of now it seemed clear that it was a human sign of some sort, perhaps a storm warning? I wondered if it could be a hurricane or tornado warning of sorts. Interestingly enough, StormClan did not send this dream to Whistlepaw and are just as confused about it, suggesting it is a memory StormClan chose to forget and the cats who do remember have faded away. It is decided that one cat from each clan will go on this journey with Whistlepaw to learn about the past, pay whatever debt the clans owe, and restore the memory to StormClan. The cats the authors chose for this journey are certainly not random, and all provide support for Ivypool's storyline. From ShadowClan we have Dovewing, Ivypool's sister. She's also lost one of her kits recently, Rowan Kit, and she tries to reach out to her sister by relating to her grief and encouraging her to talk about Bristlefrost. Ivypool is initially reluctant and somewhat carelessly points out how her loss is greater, arguing that Rowan Kit was only a kit and Dovewing will be reunited with him in StormClan one day, unlike Ivypool and Bristlefrost. I know this exchange got a big reaction on Twitter. Though Ivypool was definitely being insensitive, it is a perfectly normal reaction considering how much she is still mourning. Everyone handles grief differently, and when you lose someone so important to you, it's easy to place yours above anyone else's. By the end of the book, Ivypool sees how wrongly she's been acting towards Dovewing and provides her support and compassion for her loss. Next we have Rootspring from SkyClan, the cat who would have been Bristlefrost's mate. He is the only cat Ivypool has felt comfortable sharing her feelings about Bristlefrost with, and the two of them are struggling to move on. This journey is ideal for both he and Ivypool to get away from the clans, clear their minds, and learn how to be at peace with Bristlefrost's death. Though Splashtail does not send the cat on RiverClan's behalf, Icewing hears about the journey and joins the others on her own accord. Back in Omen of the Stars, Icewing's son, Beetlewhisker, was a trainee in the Place of No Stars. When he realized the true motives of the Dark Forest cats, he tried to leave but was killed by Broken Star. Just like Bristlefrost, his spirit is lost forever. Like Ivypool, Icewing is a mother who has lost her kit for good, though he did appear to come back as a zombie for a vision of shadows through recurring appearance errors. However, we learn that Icewing has handled her grief in a very different way than Ivypool. Icewing honors Beetlewhisker and keeps his memory alive by achieving all she can as a warrior. Because he is a part of her, she feels he lives on in that sense. As the journey begins, I want to point out how much I enjoyed having a unique map for this, and not just the usual map of the territories. The map marks all of the significant locations throughout the book and made it much easier to follow along and visualize where the questing cats were going. I would have loved seeing this for books like Tigerheart's Shadow and Hawkwing's Journey. Hopefully we see more maps like this in the future. After meeting two flirtatious young Toms from the sisters, the questing cats go to their camp to ask for directions to the Foxhead Mountain. Now fast forward to the next highlight of the book. Whistlepaw feels driven to this two-leg den by the Sundram place, where lots of wild animals are being kept in cages and mistreated. I can't quite place what this is or what you'd call it. I want to say poorly managed zoo or shady exotic animal cellar. In one of the cages, the questing cats find a couple, Tumbleleap and Stockpur. They are wildcats. The European wildcat is a small wildcat species native to Europe. They don't look super different from a domestic cat, but they are larger and broader, and always brown tabbies. Their most notable features are their black striped, bushy, blunt-tipped tails and their wide heads. Stockpur is pregnant with her third litter, though her previous two didn't survive. She and Tumbleleap think they're the last of their kind, and despite the cruel conditions, they feel they are better off in the two-legs' care rather than struggling in the wild for food. Whistlepaw draws the symbol from her dream, and shockingly the Wildcats identify it as the symbol for StormClan, the clan that started their group of Wildcats. They also believe the hollowed-out tree from her vision is the Star Tree, a place where Wildcats met with their ancestors similar to the clan's moonpool. This was a very interesting moment for me. Not only do we have a new clan, but proof that a Wildcat species actually has ties to the other clans. The questing cats follow the Wildcats' directions to the Star Tree, and while Dovewing guards the tree, Ivypool, Rootspring, Whistlepaw, and Icewing dream into the afterlife of the Wildcats. Now this is where things get very interesting. Despite being a Wildcat afterlife, there are domestic cats among them. The questing cats meet Galestar, who introduces herself as a leader of StormClan, and is the one who sent Whistlepaw her vision. She tells a fascinating and tragic story. At some point in the distant past, Galestar was the leader of WindClan. She fell in love with Stripestar, the leader of ThunderClan. Each refused to break the warrior code by leaving one clan for another, and so they made the decision to combine ThunderClan and WindClan, creating StormClan. The concept of two leaders falling in love has also never been explored in the canon books, and it's nice to see. We learn here that Galestar and Stripestar invented the StormClan symbol to represent the two clans uniting. And really, the name and symbol is the perfect choice for thunder and wind coming together. This is my interpretation of the StormClan symbol. I really wish there was a sketch of it included somewhere in the book, considering it's described so many times. It'll be interesting to see if future books or the Warriors website will reveal the official symbol of StormClan. One thing that immediately jumped out at me here is how earlier in the book, Tigerstar and many other cats see the symbol and immediately dismiss it as anything a cat created. It's strange to them, and they compare it to two-leg signs. Yet now we learn that the symbol was in fact created by cats. So is this an error on the Aaron's part? Or is it possible that in the past the clans actually created their own symbols and they were lost over time? We've never known the clan symbols to exist in universe, so this would be an interesting development. Either way, Galestar and Stripestar has some impressive graphic design skills. Back to the story. SkyClan, ShadowClan, and RiverClan believed that the combined StormClan would be too powerful against them. And eventually, as Two Legs caused prey shortages, the other clans blamed StormClan and made them feel so unwelcome, StormClan decided to leave the forest to find new territory. The journey was difficult, and as StormClan continued struggling to find somewhere to settle down, some cats died, and some of them returned to the forest, reforming ThunderClan and WindClan there. They set up a temporary camp by the Sundram place. Not long after Galestar gave birth to her kit, the former ThunderClan cats grew restless and wanted to set out to find a new home before Leafbear. Though Galestar wanted to wait until the kits were old enough to travel, Stripestar agreed with the rest of the clan that it was too dangerous to wait any longer. As Stripestar led the clan away in a raging storm, Galestar fell behind and took shelter with her kits in a rock crevice near the water. The storm set off a rock slide, blocking the entrance and trapping them inside. As we saw in Whistlepaw's vision, Stripestar and the other cats tried to search for Galestar and the kits, but were unable to hear their cries over the storm. Though feeling terribly guilty, Stripestar submitted to the urging of his clanmates to leave and get them to safety. Galestar feared the fate of she and her kits had been sealed until they were rescued by Wildcats. She felt at home right away in their camp and ended up staying there, even becoming mates with a Wildcat named Boundhunt and raising kits with him. Galestar now wants the clans to repay the Wildcats for the kindness they showed her by freeing Tumbleleap and Stalkpur and reuniting them with the Wildcats. The Questing Cats convinced Stalkpur and Tumbleleap of their experience at the Star Tree and successfully free them, beginning their journey to the Wildcats' camp. Ivypool's greatest struggle is coping with the fact that Bristlefrost is simply gone from existence. She will never see her again, not even in StormClan, and she's afraid that if she stops mourning Bristlefrost, she will be forgotten. She explains this to the sisters and Stalkpur, and both are very confused at the idea of a spirit not existing anywhere. The Wildcats believe that after a spirit fades away, they become one with the elements, wind, earth, and water, and always exist somewhere in some form. Stalkpur makes Ivypool realize that her understanding of the afterlife and the world around her only extends as far as the clans know. This journey itself has proven how much is out there that the clans aren't aware of, and the revelation does a tremendous job of relieving Ivypool of her pain. She realizes that Bristlefrost's spirit could very well exist somewhere in some other form, whether it be a physical being or something in nature. Ivypool sees how grateful she should be for the time she did have with Bristlefrost, no matter how short it was. Personally, I feel this is the best way of looking at death and loss itself. Losing someone we love hurts terribly, and we want more than anything to have that someone back. Some of us find peace in believing one day we will be reunited with that individual in an afterlife. But no matter what we believe happens after death, loss hurts. And like Ivypool, it's easy to feel trapped in that grief, like nothing could ever feel the same again. Everything in life is temporary, and that means we should appreciate every moment and every individual that left a positive impact on us. No matter how long or short, we should be grateful to have been lucky enough to live alongside them. And in the end, that person does live on in our hearts, and nothing can take that away. This is something Ivypool has finally come to realize, and along with knowing Bristlefrost could still exist in another form, it's given her the peace and closure she's needed. After Stalkpur gives birth to her kits, Ivypool and Icewind go to find the Wildcats' camp. Unfortunately, the elders, leaders of the group, refuse to believe their story and resent StormClan for abandoning Galestar. But after Ivypool and Icewind help fight off foxes in the camp, they earn the Wildcats' trust and are taken to a huge hollowed log where the Wildcats now commune with their ancestors. They meet with Galestar and convince her to face her past by traveling to StormClan and bringing back Stripestar. Amazingly, the Wildcats have access to something called the River of Spirits, which connects all afterlives. They reach StormClan, and as Galestar tells her story, the spirits of StormClan cats begin materializing and returning to StormClan. When Stripestar appears, Galestar is angry with him, but he insists he never wanted to leave her behind. He explains that he and the others came back after the storm died down, but by then she was gone, and Stripestar spent the rest of his life mourning his lost family. He's shocked and glad to hear that Galestar and their kits did not die in the crevice, and the spirits of the StormClan cats express their remorse for leaving her. Having restored the memory to StormClan and freed Tumbleleap and Stalkpur to live with the Wildcats, the cats have completed their quest and are ready to return home. Early morning, Ivypool and Rootspring both dream of Bristlefrost. She tells them she is not lost, she is everywhere, and they only need to look for her. When they wake up, they see a magnificent white stag across the stream, and its gaze reminds Ivypool of Bristlefrost. Ivypool and Rootspring believe at once that the deer was a gift from Bristlefrost to let them know she is not truly gone. Ivypool is at peace now. She's found her purpose again and sees Bristlefrost in the beauty of nature. When we first got a look at the full cover art of Ivypool's heart, the deer definitely raised a lot of questions. Like, why would a deer be significant enough to put on the cover? Considering the subject of the book, my theory was that it was Bristlefrost, that she had been reborn as a deer, and I even made some art of this concept. Looks like I wasn't too far off. Rootspring is now at peace as well, and knows he must move on from Bristlefrost, wanting a family of his own. He notes that this cat will never replace Bristlefrost, but has to be worthy of her. He doesn't have an interest in wren flight, and I'm kinda glad. She seemed annoying. I have to wonder if Rootspring will even take a SkyClan cat as his mate, especially since he and Bristlefrost helped change the code to allow cats from different clans to become mates. I wouldn't be too surprised if he chose a mate from another clan in honor of Bristlefrost. And if Rootspring is determined to choose a mate worthy of her, he's not going to limit himself to SkyClan. He's going to look everywhere, perhaps even beyond the clans, to find the best cat for him. When Stripestar returns to StarClan, he explains that while he was forgotten, he was sort of everywhere. Part of the wind, the grass, the trees, everything. He wasn't watching over the clans like StarClan does, but he was aware of them and feels it was wonderful. So now we have proof that when cats fade away or are forgotten, they still exist as part of nature and have some consciousness. Based on Ivypool and Rootspring's dream and the deer, we can conclude that the same goes for cats who have double died. This is a fascinating development. It means that even cats like Spyleaf, Tigerstar, and Hawkfrost are not truly gone. I really like the idea of this, especially for the Dark Forest cats. What if when they die, they become part of negative events in nature, like storms, wildfires, and diseases? Crazy idea to go with this. Remember Bramblestar's storm, which took place after the Dark Forest battle? What if the flood was partially caused by the number of Dark Forest cats who died in the battle? There's so many interesting ideas and concepts that can be applied to faded cats now. I can't wait to see what people come up with. Interestingly, Galestar did not send the part of the vision about the river running with blood if the debt is not paid. It's some greater force. It's believed that the wisdom and experience of the StormClan cats will be needed to save not only RiverClan but all the clans. So what could StormClan or the Wildcats have to do with defeating Splashtail or saving all the clans? My first thought was maybe the Wildcats are going to come to the lake to help drive off Splashtail, but I'm doubtful. At this point, we aren't sure if the questing cats will return in time to appear in a Starless Clan number 6 star, so maybe StormClan and the Wildcats are more connected to the next arc. Changing Skies could definitely be a reference to forgotten cats returning to StarClan, or the River of Spirits revealing the connection between all afterlives. Here's an idea. What if the voices Moonpaw is hearing are those of cats who have faded, those who are one with nature? Don't forget, Moonpaw is the daughter of Thriftier, who was Bristlefrost's sister. What if Moonpaw's ability to hear these voices is a gift from the Wildcat ancestors towards Ivypool for repaying the debt? This would explain why the quest was so important, if Moonpaw's ability will somehow save the clans in the future. It will be very interesting to see what happens. We've known for some time now that Ivypool's heart is part of a story that will be carried across to the next Super Edition. At this point, I'm fairly certain it's going to be a Galestar Super Edition, which would be so interesting. I would love a story in a new timeline with a new cast of characters for each clan. We would learn about her growing romance with Stripestar, their clans uniting, and her life with the Wildcats. And even though it would be centered around Galestar, I'd kind of hope we'd get some Stripestar POVs too. We know that some cats left StormClan to recreate ThunderClan and WindClan in the forest, but we don't know what happened to Stripestar and his cats after they left Galestar. Did they disperse and die out, or return to the forest as well? I'd also be interested in what happened back at the forest after, and the cats who rebuilt ThunderClan and WindClan. So, that's what I have to say about Ivypool's Heart. This was a very interesting and meaningful book, and definitely my favorite Super Edition in a long time. I can't wait for a potential Galestar Super Edition next. Feel free to leave your own thoughts and theories in the comments. Thanks for watching another Dawnmist Talks.